going on, YouTube? I am back. Well, not really back. I just been super busy. Past 2 weeks been crazy. I actually shot the video about the cost of operating in this particular space. I still didn't chop it up because I just been too busy. A lot of projects, a lot of singles, a lot of sessions, a lot of work, but I'm not complaining, you know. But it's Sunday morning. I have a session in an hour and a half roughly. I got here early because I had to fix up the audio for the podcast because Derek is about to kill me. So yeah, I'm just doing overtime in the early morning. But anyway, the topic for today, it kind of came to me last night when I was walking home. I was like, you know what? I always see the DAW wars. The what DAW is better, whether it's Pro Tools, FL, Ableton, and Reaper, whatever's out there. There's a whole bunch of DAWs. I want to give this whole thing my own perspective. I am an avid user of Pro Tools and Ableton. You see what I did there? Avid user of both, avid, punchlines. I'm just playing. I use Pro Tools Ultimate. I've been using Pro Tools for, I think the first time I used Pro Tools was in 2008. Either 2008 or 2009, whatever the Pro Tools 7.3 was, that's what I was using. And I had the early experience with Ableton. I don't remember what year it was, but I remember it used to come with the keyboard controller. It was like Ableton Essentials. And I remember I installed it, I looked at it, and I was like, it's too much, I can't deal with it. I feel like when it comes to DAWs, the initial beginning, when you start working with something, it might get a little bit of confusing, because I remember opening Pro Tools and looking at everything, and I was like, oh man, it's going to take me time to understand it and figure it out. And right now I'm like, I'm a Pro Tools master, Kung Fu, Same thing with Ableton. I use Ableton in very, very different way that I use Pro Tools. This is the very first thing that I want to address. And I'm saying it because I was the person that was doing the same mistake. Number one thing when it comes to DAWs that people kind of get wrong, even though, yes, every DAW does the same thing technically, you shouldn't be looking at DAWs from the same perspective. So when you're looking at Logic and you're looking at Pro Tools and you're looking at the mix window, edit window, and all that stuff, technically they are the same thing, but practically they operate a little bit different. Same thing with any other DAW, right? It's like, from the practical perspective, yes, edit window does the editing, mix window does the mixing, yes, but the way how you go around certain things, how you use the inserts and how you navigate, it's a little bit different. And let me break it down from a perspective of Ableton and Pro Tools, because those are the two DAWs that I use basically every day. So, Ableton, I love Ableton when it comes to production. Amazing. I love the workflow. I love the way how everything is just like intuitive towards getting the production done, getting the samples in, getting the MIDI, getting everything like it's. I love Ableton. I love Ableton when it comes to production. Mixing, I personally hate Ableton's audio engine. And there's a lot of people that say there's no difference. Obviously, there's always going to be people that saying that, oh, two DAWs is just zeros and ones, but when you sum it, it sounds the same, blah, blah. There's always people that say stuff that is not true. Look, Pro Tools sounds very different, Ableton sounds very different. And again, that's just a fact. I use both of them every day. I can take one thing, do it in Ableton one way. I'm going to do something in Pro Tools. I wouldn't say the same way because it's just not going to be the case, but like I can try to level things the same way and they both going to sound different. Even when during the bounce, Pro Tools bounce sounds much better than Ableton bounce. And it's just the fact. I might be doing something wrong, which I don't think, because I've been using both of them. Like as I'm saying, Pro Tools I've been using since 2008. And Ableton I've been using for the past, like on the level where I know exactly what I'm doing with it, for the past 6 years or 7 years. I started using Ableton like properly in 2015, I believe. But I was using it more for live shows. So I had a very different utility. in Ableton that I had in Pro Tools. And I actually tried running Pro Tools for live shows, and it was a terrible experience. I don't recommend anybody using Pro Tools as a live DAW. It's just, look, if you're a risk taker and you want to take that challenge on you, not even a challenge, if you want to take that risk about using Pro Tools live during the shows and all that stuff, go for it. I personally do not recommend it. I've tried it and I was like, no, I'm not doing that. Unlike Ableton, Ableton is amazing. I love Ableton for live shows because it barely ever gives any errors. Only once I had the issue with Ableton during the live show, and it wasn't even a live show, it was during the rehearsal where I had the whole band with me and we were just practicing and something happened. I had the error. I had to restart the computer. I had the error in Ableton, opened the session. I just clicked OK. Everything was back to normal, no issues after. So that was like just one big issue that I had during the live show. But again, it was just once and it wasn't really during the show, it was just the rehearsal. So I made it work. Pro Tools, I've tried it during the rehearsals. I've tried it during the sound checks. And every time there's always something, some error, something is not right. There's like it just shuts down by itself. Yeah, it's just, oh man, I just couldn't deal with it. I don't want to make this video a DAW war. I don't want to say what's better, what's worse. Same thing when it comes to Fruity Loops. Same thing when it comes to, well, not Fruity Loops anymore. FL, Logic, Reaper, Studio One, there's so many, Luna, there's too many DAWs. So I'm not even trying to say this is better than this, or look, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it does not matter what you use. Use whatever you feel comfortable with and use whatever makes your sound the way how you want it to be, period. If for you Ableton sounds better than Pro Tools, let it be and use it because this is the sound that you prefer more. For me, I just prefer the sound of Pro Tools. Yeah, maybe let me just say it that way. I prefer the sound of Pro Tools to the sound of Ableton, especially after bounce. Because when I work in the DAW, like when I work in Ableton, I don't really notice it that much. There's definitely some slight differences. I feel like Ableton is a little bit, I don't know if it's warmer or something. There's something, look, there's something going on between those engines that is a little bit different. But again, that's not the point of my video. The point of my video is to compare Pro Tools and Ableton. And I'm not comparing it one by one because it's not like I'm comparing apples to apples. I'm comparing apples to bananas, and that's just analogy, so don't take it too serious or too deep. So number one thing when it comes to the DAWs, as I said before, my mistake at the very beginning when I started using Ableton after a long use of Pro Tools for like years prior, when I opened Ableton, I looked at the window in Ableton, the mix window, the edit window, the way how I was looking at Pro Tools. I had exactly the same. I thought they were exactly the same. So I look at the mix window and I'm like, okay, you know, I'm approaching that like it's Pro Tools. Then I have a mix edit window and I'm approaching it the way how I would approach it in Pro Tools. And that was like why I was always turned off by Ableton, is because I didn't understand that they are fundamentally two different DAWs. They live in a very different spaces, but because I was so ignorant, I was just looking at it from the same perspective. And it was always slowing me down. I was like, I can't get this, I can't get that, because my mentality about the actual DAW was completely wrong from the very beginning. But my good friend, shout out to Brandon, he was the one who really put me on Ableton. And I remember I was struggling a little bit, and I was like, yo, Brendan, come to the studio, just show me a couple of things. I need to understand it better. So he was the one that actually taught me how to look at things when it comes to Ableton. So he came to the studio and I opened Ableton and I'm like, yo, so when I'm doing this, you know, blah, 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 and I'm explaining to him how I do things. And he's looking at me like I'm an idiot. It's like, yo, bro, Ableton is not Pro Tools. You can't be looking at it like it's Pro Tools. And he uses Pro Tools too. And I was like, oh, shit. So I was thinking about it the wrong way from the very beginning. And then he showed me like a couple of things. He was like, look, Edit window is more like, you know, you can do this, you can do that. Like he explained it to me the way how I need to approach working in Ableton. Then he shows me the mix window and he's like, no, you can't be thinking about that because there's the live, I forgot what it's called, but there's like a performance window as well. And the way how I was looking at the performance window, I was looking at it like it's inserts because it kind of looks like inserts, but it's really not. It has a completely different usage. So once I understood that there's things that are just shifted in a different places, different directions, and I understood that I have to look at things from a very, very different perspective, it all clicked. And since then, Ableton just became my secret tool, especially for production. I do a lot of engineering, 100%. You know, I've been an engineer, data engineer, you guys already know. But the thing is that I started as a producer. The only thing was that when I was producing, I always would spend more time mixing than actually producing, because I love the technical side of things. So because of that, I kind of led the production. I put the production to the side and I just focused on engineering. And I don't regret it. I love engineering and I've learned a lot. I've spent a lot of hours just mixing and just mastering, working on technical side. Look, I spent plenty of hours. Um, I consider myself a pro when it comes to this music game. And you know, I have some accolades. I've been doing a lot of things. I've worked with a lot of people. Is there still a lot of things that I need to improve and make better? 100%, but put me in any room, put me in anything, and I'll make it work. But as all that being said, I always miss the production. And I tried producing in Pro Tools. I did try to produce in Pro Tools. And for a little bit, I was semi-successful when it comes to making it work. But Pro Tools, when it comes to production, is very, like, don't get me wrong, you can produce in Pro Tools if you want to. I know there's, I forgot who it was, I forgot his name, but there's one of the pretty big producer. I forgot, I don't remember. Kato, I don't know, I don't want to say the names because I don't remember who it was. But there's a producer that does produce in Pro Tools. He says everything he does is in Pro Tools, which I applaud because I've tried. I've tried many, many times and it's just not working for me. There's always too many errors. There's too many issues. It's not intuitive. It's sluggish. It's slow. I hate the MIDI editing in Pro Tools. It's just a lot of things I hate about Pro Tools when it comes to production. I know I can do it there. And you know, obviously it supports all the virtual instruments and all this stuff. Like, yeah, you can technically do everything in Pro Tools, but it's just the way how Pro Tools is designed. It's not designed for production per se. It's more designed for mixing. The way how the mixer is put together, the edit window and everything, how you can navigate is more of a mixing tool, for me at least. Ableton, on the other hand, is more of a creative tool. The way how I can have the browsers of the sounds and the plugins, how I can get to everything quick time, just, you know, type something, bam, it's right there. I'm looking for something, I can drag it, I can do the MIDI real quick, I can connect everything to my MIDI keyboards, I can get everything synced up and all that. I love the way how Ableton is more intuitive when it comes to production. But again, when I'm going back, let's say if I wanted to mix the song the way how I'm mixing Pro Tools and I wanted to mix it in Ableton, I just wouldn't be able to do it. Sonically, it wouldn't be the same. And the way how the buses are set up in Ableton and the way how the routing is and just certain things, like, it's just not intuitive for mixing. Or the way how my workflow is, especially with a whole bunch of gear and a whole bunch of hardware and all that. I know that it can be done. There's a person that I actually spoke to him, very nice guy, online. I forget the names, but he has a lot of equipment, a lot of gear, and he has like a rack with 500 series channel strips. So it's basically like a console made out of 500 series channel strips. It looks amazing. It's great. And he always explains it, how he does it and all that stuff. Shout out to him. Again, I forgot his name, but you know, shout out to him. But he was showing his setup with Ableton, and he has all the stuff, all the inserts from the hardware presets in Ableton, so he can just drag it into the channel, and he can have his, you know, whatever gear he has, his APIs and all that stuff being routed back to his rag and back to Ableton. I believe he mixes in Ableton. So as I'm saying, people can do it. Everybody can use whatever they want to use to mix it. Look, there's people probably mixing on like Audacity or something. Look, you can mix on anything as long as you like the way how it sounds. So I want to bury the whole thing, the whole war, the DAW war about what sounds better, what sounds worse, is what you can make it, what you can use to make it work for yourself. And again, I am a good example of choosing two different things to do two different tasks. And I feel like why it gives me a little bit of advantage is because when I'm in Pro Tools, my brain is in a different place. When I'm in Ableton, my brain is in a different place. And throughout the years, I've used FL, I've used Logic, a little bit of Studio One. Like I've gone through most of the DAWs. At least I tried them just to see how they are and all that stuff. Even though on FL, I'm pretty good with FL because I did produce on FL prior to that. I personally prefer Ableton to FL. And again, there's nothing wrong with FL. Look, there's plenty of bangers that we made with FL. And it's very intuitive for production. It sounds a certain way. And again, FL sounds very different from Ableton. It's just a fact. You know what I mean? They feel different. They sound different. The low end feels different in FL and it feels different in Ableton. Could I make everything work in one DAW? Probably if I really, really wanted to do so, or like if I wanted to struggle, especially when it comes to production in Pro Tools, or mixing in Ableton. Like, mixing in Ableton is not, for me, it's not fun. To do basic mixing is cool, but like to go deep with it is not my thing. But again, I'm not bashing any of the DAWs. Is there bad things about Pro Tools? 100%. Are the bad things outbalancing the things that I love about Pro Tools? No, I just use Pro Tools in the sectors that I feel that is the strongest. And since it's mixing, I just use it in that way. Same thing with Ableton, it's complete opposite. So Pro Tools and Ableton for me is like my yin and yang. Pro Tools is my technical side of thinking, Ableton is my creative side of thinking. Could I choose one over another one? No, I would never do that. If somebody's like, you gotta choose one, I'm like, I'm using both. There's no way that I gotta choose one of them. And is it good? Is it bad? I mean, look, it works for me. Understanding more than one DAW is always beneficial just for being around and being useful. Especially nowadays. When you go, if you go to a studio or something is happening, something is going on, like you have to be tech savvy where you can just open something, maybe change the settings, understand the correlation between the computer settings and the DAW settings and the MIDI settings that you have in the DAW and the MIDI settings that you have in your interface or whatever you're using for your MIDI. Like there's so many things that you have to understand to be good with and good at. A lot of things kind of go back and forth. You can use certain principles in every DAW, but again, fundamentally, they all are different. My whole point of this video is for you guys to see it from a little bit different perspective. Stop thinking about it from the perspective which DAW is better. I always see those polls. Which DAW is better? Is it this or that and that and that? Look, everything is good, but everything is different. And I think the beauty is in the differences between those tools. Because at the end of the day, look, they all tools. You can have different keyboards. You can have, you know, Rolands are going to be fun. Rolands are going to be different from Yamahas. Yamahas are going to be different from Korgs. Do they do the same thing? Yeah, they you know, they are synthesizers. They have the pads. They have the synths. You can play with the sine waves and all that stuff. Like, obviously, they do the same thing, but they are different. They are fundamentally, sonically, they are different. So it's the same thing with DAWs. You just have to take your tool, perfect it, make it work, and make sure that whatever you do sounds the way how you want it to be. Again, just to sum everything up, when you're looking at DAWs, don't look at them like they are the same thing. They are equal, yes, but they are equal only when it comes to the realm that they live in. The way how you're gonna use it is gonna determine whether the DAW is gonna be, you're gonna be more efficient with the DAW on this side, or you're gonna be better with the other DAW right there. But that's just something that I wanted to say real quick. Look, I'm trying to shoot the videos, edit them, post them. I don't want to make them too long, and the other video I made way too long. So anyway, guys, let me know what DAWs are you guys using. Let me know what you like about your DAW of your choice, what you don't like about it. Would you ever switch? And just, yeah, let's just have a conversation. I love to talk to people about things, and I try to reply as much as I can. It's definitely, as I'm saying, when I'm busy, I work, you know, sometimes I work like 16-hour days. Like it gets hectic sometimes, you know? So I'm trying to be on top of the game as much as I can. But anyway, comment, subscribe, let's have a conversation, let's see what we can do. And I would love to see what you guys have to say. Peace out.